Hello, roommates, and anyone who maybe uses their C calculator in the future, or a stranger on the internet. Okay, um, I'm just wanted to make a little tutorial about a method that you can use to input data into their C calculator without doing it manually. Skips over a lot of the boring stuff. Quick disclaimer, it may not be that much faster than doing it by hand, especially the first time when you're like learning how to do it. It will take longer, but ideally I think after you do it a couple times you get used to it. It will be quicker, and also for me it's not really just about saving time, it's also just like inputting the data manually is like just super boring and not enriching. Not that this is really enriching, but it's like you can follow a process and like learn a thing. I don't know. It makes more sense to me as like a thing that is enjoyable. Anyway, give it a try. I think it'll be worth giving it a try. So, take a picture of your seek like this. Make sure the lighting is good, the contrast is good, and whatever. You can see at the bottom here, there's a little bit of yeah. We'll see how well. I haven't checked how well it caught that text, but if not, you can take a different picture, or just, it's just one. Anyway. Yeah, try to make all the text clear, lighting is good, take that picture. Don't immediately just scan the text now because it will get really messy. I'll show you what happened when I copied and pasted this text here. That's the good one. See, you get like some items, then some prices, then some items, then a lot of prices, and it's like, that's just not very helpful to have it formatted like that. But you can make it work a little better, at least in the case of the receipt, the HMart situation, because different receipts from different places are formatted differently, but this works for HMart receipts at the very least. I'll get into the differences a little bit later, but for an HMart receipt, just crop it. Oh, is it playing? Okay. Crop all the unnecessary information out. So the top of the image is just the very first item and the very first price, right? This is all the info you need. And then also scribble out this first row of prices because that's the unit price, right? You don't really need that. HMart has that, most receipts don't. Anyway, do whatever you can to make the image square, get rid of all information that you don't need, because that way when you copy and paste it, it'll just be a whole lot cleaner. You already got a glimpse of how that turned out. Here you have all the items, and even though it looks a little bit weird, like there's stuff in between, we'll deal with that, and then all the prices. So then whatever you need to do to, well, okay, first I'll show you how you actually scan it. I think you will be able to do this yourself or whatever. You just hold down, and then this will come up, and you drag the highlights out, and so that all the data is highlighted, and then copy, and then however you want to get that text to your computer or laptop, because it'll be, you're going to want it in a computer and laptop at this point, at least that is easier for me. I email it to myself, paste it in a notepad, airdrop the note. You all have your ways, so I'm sure you can figure that out yourself. Okay, so then once you have your text on your computer, in the form of an email or whatever, right? The first thing that you want to do is put it into a note, a text editor. whatever text editor you want to use. I just use Notepad. So here you can see it pastes with all these spaces in between, which actually creates a problem, but it's pretty easy to fix. We'll deal with that in a second. But the first thing you want to do is just get rid of all of the, again, we're eliminating information that we don't need. So on the receipt itself, there's all these second rows, right? You have where it's right, the dozen. Here, like that's, wait, no, dozen is good. But here where it says cage free, like that's a row that's not itself an item. It's just like an additional descriptor. So you want to get rid of all of those rows. Anything that's not like, basically every item should occupy exactly one line, right? And every line should have exactly and only one item. If that makes sense. And it's okay if you're not super thorough here. Like if, for example, you don't know if something is subtext, well, you can also just check with the receipt while you're doing this. It'll make it pretty easy. But if you happen to miss something, like here, I'll miss something on purpose just so I can show you how to deal with it later. Like here, I'll pretend that I think that 640 milliliters is its own item. But just try to get all the ones that are clearly not their own items. And then you have that, and then again, we're going to want to delete all these enters, all these spaces, which you can do pretty easily by just pressing delete, and then up, and then delete, and then up, and then delete, and then up. And because it's only 2 buttons, you can do it really fast. And other thing, I want to make a note of this really quick because it is important. Like I said before, some receipts format differently. I have had a receipt before where it, instead of having all of the items and then all of the prices, it had item, tab, price, item, tab, price, right? And actually, that's a good thing. Don't worry if it's formatted like this instead of like how this is formatted, because actually Google Sheets will know how to deal with that exactly like you want it to. So it's pretty convenient when that happens. Let's see, where is my, sorry about that, Matt Parker there. So you want to make a new spreadsheet, by the way. This next step you want to do in a separate spreadsheet, not the receipt calculator, because you'll see why it'll be easier. But you see, if you have tabs, Google Sheets just interprets a tab as go 1 column to the right, right? So if you have item, tab, and it also interprets a line break, an enter, as go 1 row down. So if you have item, tab, price, enter, item, tab, price, enter, right? How this is, then it'll be clean. It'll be perfect. But if it doesn't format like that and it formats like this instead, that's fine. That's also super easy to deal with. You just have to do it one at a time. So take all the items, paste them in. Just delete this so it's less confusing. And then separately, copy all of the prices and paste them in. So then you'll see, okay, so the last item is on double check with my receipt. The last item is reusable bag for 24 cents, and you see they don't line up. And that's because, like I said earlier, I left this one in, just to show you how you can deal with that if that does happen. Unfortunately, you have to do this one at a time. If there's multiple, you can't just control click them. I don't know why. But anyway, one at a time, just take that thing that you know is not an item. And, you know, this might be a hard part if you do happen to do this, where you have to actually figure out where it got off. But like I said before, for the most part, it's pretty clear what is actually a headline for an item. So right click, delete, delete cells, okay, delete cells and shift up. That's going to be a quick way to do it. If that's like, I don't know why you did that, I don't want to have to remember that, then you could also just delete, and then obviously copy and paste and move everything up. But delete cell and shift up just kind of does that for you. So that's pretty convenient. And now everything's lined up. We know our last item is reusable pack for 24 cents, and our first item is gin ramen for $17.99, which when I look at the receipt, it is indeed that. So it seems like everything's ready. If you want to just double check, you can highlight all this, and in the bottom right corner it'll pop up with sum. If it doesn't do that, you can also just write equals sum of cell, and it'll even be like, oh, you want the sum of B1 to B20, and you say, yes, I do actually, thank you. Anyway, but usually if you just highlight everything, it should show you in the bottom right corner. And that is the total that's on the receipt, so I think we're golden. Yeah, it didn't grab the tax because that was, but that's fine, you just do that on your own, that's easy enough. And in case anybody doesn't know, anytime you input tax, just put a colon after it, tax, colon, and that will tell the receipt, then the receipt calculator will recognize that as tax and distribute it proportionally. Oh, I already did this, but I'm going to pretend that I didn't. But yeah, basically you get it. Control Shift to paste in. Don't just paste normally, you'll override the formatting. If you can't remember, Control Shift V or Command Shift V, paste special values only. Yeah, just so you're not like memorizing stuff and you actually understand why. I hope it's clear that like you don't want the format, but you want the values, right? So you go to paste and values only. Anyway, that's the best way I can explain it. I think it's pretty clear. Yeah, then you're done. You got it. That's the total that's on the receipt. Not that the 2 cents even matters, but quick bonus tip. That doesn't have anything to do with this video, but it's a new feature that people ought to know about. We talked about adding asterisks to things to denote, keep an eye on this because you might want it for a shared meal, right? Or even for like toilet paper that everybody uses to make it easier for people that don't want to pay for very much but just want to go and put the ones on here. So you can see when I put the asterisk, this little guy was like, hey, check this out, man. So he's pointing at it. Yeah. I think you got the idea. It takes a second to figure itself out, but yeah, you got little pointers, bright colors. Hopefully that's an easier visual indicator than just an asterisk. Yeah. And otherwise, I think that's everything. So, yeah. Thanks for watching my tutorial. Hope you liked it. Yeah. Bye.